Evening Cherries fans, and welcome to the latest opposition preview show here on Up the Cherries in all departments. Prior to welcoming on my special guest, here is a little bit about our sponsors, Dental on the Banks. To find out what they can do for you, visit dentalonthebanks.co.uk. Now, after suffering our first defeat on the road against Derby, who moved back on to 0 points, a game best forgotten, what better place to go than the Den? To preview this game, I have a very special guest who you might have seen before. It is a pleasure to welcome on journalist Neil Fissler. Evening, Neil. How are you, mate?
Not too bad, Craig. Yourself?
Yeah, well, after the defeat by Derby, suffering a little bit, being knocked off the top perch by Fulham. So, your friends at Fulham?
Mate, there's no disgrace in that. Fulham came down start of the season and ripped us a new one in front of a national audience on Sky. So, that's until we woke up and we realised that we had to change the formation. But unfortunately, I think we were 3-0 down at the time. And that was after about a quarter of an hour. So, yeah, they're a good team. And to be up there with them, you're not doing too badly.
Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get back to winning ways. But to be honest, the Den is never an easy place to go, as we all well know. Firstly, though, before we get stuck into it, tell us a little bit about the rugby paper and your work for them, Neil.
I'm a journalist for the rugby paper. I was chief football writer or news reporter on the Sunday Express for a few years. I did rugby for them. I've done rugby for the rugby paper, I think, for 10, 15 years. And I write a gossip column every week. I do a little bit of history, cover one or two match previews, speak to some young players every now and again. Nothing spectacularly exciting. Probably the most exciting thing I've done recently is I've actually had a Millwall book published. So,
Excellent.
Labor of love.
Well, do tell us a little bit about that,
mate. I've edited a who's who, everybody that's played for Millwall since 1885 until the end of last season. So I think we've found details of about 1,300 players. One or two with a Bournemouth connection, obviously. And it's just a book that's taken about 30, 40 years to get out, basically. It's like it's painting the fourth bridge, mate. Every time you think you found something, you find something else. And you keep on putting it off, keep on putting it off, keep on putting it off. But being a bit of a history buff, it's just one of those great things that you get a good thrill by finding a decent bit of information. Because, well, let's face it, you watch Millwall play, you don't get much of a thrill these days under Gary Rowett.
We'll come on to him in a second. Do tell us a bit about the players that have got a Millwall and Bournemouth connection.
Oh, you're sticking me on the spot now, aren't you?
Oh,
You've got
sorry,
one.
mate.
Yeah, you've got one now. You've got Adam Smith, obviously.
Yep,
I think he's still in your squad.
he certainly is.
Did Jackie Fissler play for both clubs a number of years ago? I know that he's certainly David Webb's father-in-law.
Hmm.
You've really stuck me on the spot now. Yeah, well, I could cheat and just look, but there's a few. I think Lewis Graben played for
Yep.
both clubs. You flogged us Josh McCoy under false pretenses, didn't you? And you've also, I think Scotty Malone played for you guys, didn't he, as
He
well?
certainly did, yeah.
He's back and doing fairly well for us. So there's a few recent ones.
Excellent stuff.
And I think you actually had Brian Clark, if you go a little bit further back, who I think who scored Millwall's first goal on a Sunday against Fulham. And I believe he used to travel up to Millwall from Bournemouth, because I think he joined us from Bournemouth in the mid-70s.
Happy days. Well, I've learned a little bit there as well. Well, the more recent players, of course, but you
Oh,
know,
mate, I probably got all of that wrong.
oh, doesn't matter. So, of course, we've been beaten on the road by Derby, and let's be fair, the Lions' Den is the last place we really want to be going. Tell us a little bit about the story so far this season, though, Neil.
Same as last season, really. Drawing too many games, difficult to beat, up and around the playoffs, mid-table. I think we're 3-4 points away from the playoffs. Don't score enough goals, but don't concede too many goals. Frustrating. We have a habit of playing 5 at the back, even at home, which I know bugs the absolute shit out of most fans. But you can't argue with the guys' yeah, well, you can argue with the guys' tactics, but they are effective, and I think we just like to be entertained a little bit more. Football's an entertainment industry. I know it's also results driven, but Christ Almighty, we've scored 18 goals and we've conceded 18 goals, which I think is probably one of the best in the league for conceding, but it's probably one of the worst for scoring.
Do you think it's going to be difficult for Solanke to break down Millwall this on Wednesday night?
We're not the easiest team to break down. Yeah, I'm guessing Solanke will play through the middle.
Yep.
So Cooper and Hutchinson will be alert. We're tight. We don't give a lot away at times, but we are susceptible to a little bit of pace, I think. So it'll be an interesting one, because Solanke's, am I right in thinking he's in a bit of form recently? Scored a couple of goals.
He has.
Yeah,
He scored more goals this season. Well, no, he's equalled his tally from last season, and we're just at the end of November, so he's done very, very well. We are going to be missing Philip Billing, though. How pleased are you to see that he's not going to be playing?
mate. Anybody that's a threat who isn't playing is a bonus. Yeah, well, let's face it. Yeah, I could sit here and give you, we all want to see the best players on the pitch. Fuck that. No, I don't. Yeah. Well, I want to win. I want to win at all costs. That's not. Yeah, well, I'm not here to be nice. I'm not here to win friends. Yeah. If a great player's or a good player's not playing, brilliant. And if you haven't got somebody better to bring in, that's even better. Which I'm probably suggesting that you haven't. So yeah, well, it is what it is, isn't it? His replacement might come in and might have an absolute storm, and might be Scott Parker will say to him, "Well, this is your chance," and he'll run out and seize it and grab it with both hands. So yeah, it's a difficult one. In one hand, you're glad that one of your best players isn't playing. But on the other hand, is his has his replacement got a point to prove? He probably has. If Billings is out for a week or two, or maybe even longer, get an extended run, and this is your chance to lay down a marker, as Eddie Jones says.
Well, he's suspended for this game, so hopefully, he'll be back for the following game against Coventry. But the Den is always a hostile environment. It's a proper footballing ground, though. Considering our position, what sort of atmosphere do you expect the Millwall fans to create?
Mate, if we're not bored to death with Rowett, which there's a good chance that Rowett ball will send us to sleep, but if we get with a Millwall crowd, you can get 8,000 sounding like there's 80,000 in there.
Mm-hmm.
And if the team get stuck in and start piling into Bournemouth and make life generally uneasy, and we get an early goal, it can rock. But by the same token, if the crowd start getting on the players' back, yeah, because it's one of those fine balancing acts at Millwall. We're very quick to voice our displeasure, but we also do get behind the team. But I think we feed off the team. Rowett thinks the players should be feeding off the fans, but I think it's the other way around. They're there to entertain you, so therefore the performance should lift the crowd. And it is the land that time forgot. Yeah, it's not woke. It's not anything else. We have habits of putting our foot in it, saying it the way it is. But it's a proper, as you say, it's a proper old football ground. It's not sanitised in any way, although they try to. But it can be a dangerous, hostile place. I don't mean dangerous in a bad way, but it can be. If the players feed off the crowd feed off the players, and you get a bit of vocality in there, it can be a horrible place. I would hate to be an away player in there.
And especially after we've been beaten by Derby as well. First away defeat. It's
you've
the
got
last
the ump about this Derby, haven't you? Derby in administration. You're managed by a non-manager. Because let's face it, he isn't a manager, is he? He's many things, but he isn't a manager. And you have like a sense that you don't fancy this much, do you?
No, I don't. I don't, to be honest. It was a run of which included Derby and Millwall that sent us off the rocks last season. So it's a bit worrying, considering the way we played as well. But hopefully we can bounce back. We did it after we got beat by Preston. Let's be honest, Preston always beat us. That's a given. But
yeah, mate, you're doing something well, because that Fulham team is a bloody good team and a bloody good squad, and you're a point behind them in second place. You're right up there, so you're going to have the odd bad game, aren't you? Yeah. So it's an ideal chance, I would have thought, for old McDonald's boy to get stuck in amongst them. We'll remind him how much he hates Millwall because he's from the train spotters down the road. And the team that always actually have lived in Millwall's shadow for the whole of their history. So he'll be very bitter about that. And it's an ideal chance, I would have thought, for him to look to make a statement.
Well, it does worry me because, of course, you are, defensively, are you going to make it difficult for us? You are going to play 5 at the back, I reckon.
We always play 5 at the back. Yeah, well, we'd play 5 at the back if we were 9-0 up. which will probably take us about 5 games to get there. But yeah, no, he loves 5 at the back. He absolutely adores it. Although sometimes he has showed occasionally that he's willing to be flexible, but
Mm,
he's actually one of these managers who speaks like he's multilingual in bullshit. Yeah,
mhm,
you listen to his post match, and I'm going to change this, I'm going to change that. We've got to be more flexible. Yeah, what does he do next match? 5 at the back, 2
mhm.
defensive midfielders, and but no, sorry, yeah, no, I interrupted your train of thought there, didn't I? With 5 at the back.
Yeah. Well, Gary Rowett, it sounds, Neil, that he's not a particular popular person at Millwall at the moment. Um,
Mate, he splits fans, I think.
mm,
There's an awful lot of people that think he walks on water, but you've got to look and you've got to think, if we sacked him, which it'd be a bit harsh to sack him, 4 or 5 points out of the playoffs. I know we're in mid-table, but he's probably as good as we're going to get as a manager. But let's be quite frank, we punch above our weight season after season. We haven't got the biggest budget in the league. I'd say we've probably got one of the smallest budgets in the league, but he always seems to pull something out of the hat. So I I just think an awful lot of Millwall fans would like us to play a bit more attacking football. To my mind, Millwall have always been a 4-4-2 team. 2 wingers bombing on, putting the ball in the box, and a big man and a small man up front. One knocking it down, the other knocking it in. But we kind of don't get that. We play one up front and one either side of him, and it's just not very entertaining to watch. I went to a game against Coventry earlier this season, and they are absolutely dog shit. And they gave us the runaround. They really are an average team, and we made them look good for long periods. And that's at home, where you just want to be flying into them. You want to look as if you are showing attacking intent and an intent to win the match. I think he sets up so he doesn't lose a game rather than going out to win a game. I know that sounds a bit stupid, but that's the way that he looks upon it.
would you say a lot of, because of course being draw specialist, would you say it's 2 points dropped or a point gained in most of the draws so far this season?
Mate, it's difficult to tell. I think we've drawn somewhere we should have won, and we've drawn somewhere we could have lost. 8 draws again, six wins, but only 4 defeats. And probably the worst defeat in all of that lot was probably the Fulham game, where we just looked, well, we looked like a Sunday Park team in the first 15 minutes and were absolutely outclassed. We changed things around, and then they struggled to break us down. But mate, football's all about accumulating points, and he accumulates points, so you can't argue with that, really, can you?
No, exactly. And surely there's got to be some hope from the Millwall faithful that he can get you into the playoff places this season.
I think. Sorry, I think that is, as long as we're in and around that kind of area, I think everybody's happy. Yeah. Personally, as long as we're not in the bottom 3, I don't care where we finish, and we'd be going some to finish above to finish below the teams that have been docked points this season. But in and around the playoff places, yeah, it's achievable. It's a very tight league. Everybody beats everybody, don't they? Let's face it. Let's be honest, hand on heart, it is a very, very tight league. I know that there's a bit of a gap between us and you guys and you and Fulham, yeah, but
Mhm.
we ain't going to get in the top 2. We're looking at that fifth, sixth spot, that's where we ought to be aiming for. And I guess if he can do it by boring everyone to death, uh, yeah, then it's job done in his eyes, isn't it?
Well, exactly. And fingers crossed for you, that you can get there. It'll be interesting to see, Millwall in the playoffs and potentially getting into the Premier League as well.
When the Premier League gets closed down the minute we get in there, I tell you, nobody. Can you imagine Sky and their woke agenda with Millwall in the Premier League? Christ, we get it when they. Yeah, well, we get it with both barrels. Yeah, when they come down once a season to cover us in our only home match that they show, so we get that out the way nice and early in the season, mate. In some ways, it'd be good to have a season up there. Run riot in some of these places where we haven't been to for years. Yeah, but God Almighty, it would be embarrassing. I'm just happy being in the Championship, to be honest. And as long as we're competitive, you want to be competitive. I think the aspirations of most Millwall fans will be in and around the playoffs, and as long as we're in and around the playoffs, we're happy. You guys who have got well, I guess our owners are probably as rich as yours, but it's aspirations, isn't it? Your aspirations is to get back into the Premier League where you were for 5-6 seasons, something like that, maybe a
5
little bit longer.
seasons.
Yeah. So you've still got that parachute payment. You just mentioned Dominic Solanke. Yeah. What did he cost you? 25 million?
Yeah, I think it was 12, if I'm casting my
12.
mind back correctly. Yeah.
That would have
I'm
bought
not
our
sure.
record signing 8 or 9 times over. I think we've spent £1 million 3 times in our history, and you've spent £12 million on a guy who struggled to get a game for a couple of seasons, didn't he?
Yeah.
And so it's all about aspirations and ambition. I think we're an ambitious club in our own way, but our ambition and our expectations probably isn't as high as yours. I guess that if you guys don't reach the Premier League again this season, because you missed out last season, didn't you?
Yeah.
That there'll be all kinds of inquests, and McDonald's boy will be shipped out the door, won't he? And,
you don't like Scott Parker, do you?
mate, there's no way that you're going to get a Millwall fan to say something decent about anything or anyone that has anything to do with the train spotters from down the road.
Do tell us, of course, Rowett's boring everybody from what you've told us, but how has he changed the side this season? Who's he brought in? And well, tell us a bit about this Millwall team.
It's not too different to what it was last season. If I'm honest, we've lost a couple of players. I think Ryan Woods went from last season. We've bought in Ojo, who's on loan from Liverpool. So it's pretty much as it was last season. Obviously, Dan Ballard we've bought in on loan from Arsenal, Northern Irish international. Absolutely superb player. I'd love to see him stay with us. I almost called him Jimmy Savile then.
There's a bit of a difference.
But we've got Savile in midfield, George Savile in midfield. You know what it was? I was watching a Lad Bible video earlier on, and they were talking about Jimmy Savile in it. And I've just scribbled down the players that we've signed this season, and I just put Savile, and I didn't engage my brain by calling him George. So,
Oh,
we've obviously bought him in, play centre midfield. Good player. We sold him. We got him from Chelsea for next to nothing.
mhm.
We flogged him to Middlesbrough for about 7-8 million quid, and he came back in the summer. We've got Benica Phobie up front. I think somebody
Yeah,
that you guys will know quite well.
we do. Yes.
We've got him on loan from Stoke. Very powerful, isn't he? Suits the way
Yep.
we play. We've got Ojo on loan from Liverpool. I'm not sure if he'll play or not, but it's pretty much the team that we had last season.
Well, do give us a bit of a prediction. How do you think it's going to go, Neil? Do you think you're going to make it really difficult for us? The atmosphere is going to be hostile on a Wednesday night up at the Lions' Den, or do you think we're going to come back after that terrible defeat?
Mate, I think it's going to be a tight game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have that defeat in the back of your minds, aren't you? So,
Yeah.
Jed Wallace obviously will frighten you to death because he dictated the game, I think, last season, didn't he? And
He did. Yeah.
we've got that secret weapon who absolutely, I don't know. Yeah, well, I guess you're still having nightmares about Matt Smith, aren't you? Coming on and
Yeah.
making himself a handful towards the end of the game. I think it's going to be a really tight game. Really tight game. And I think we're going to win 1-0. Which probably means Bournemouth will win 3-1.
Well, hopefully, hopefully, but I know this is always a difficult, hard fixture against a team and in a proper football ground. You know, the passionate fans are back. You do make lots of sound. It's not
One
an
thing,
easy place to go.
one thing that might go in your favour is it's on a Wednesday night. Yeah, so
What makes you
people,
think that?
everybody has this thing about playing under the lights, but it never seems to. It never seems to go that well for us under lights. I think everybody's rushing around from work, and so it never seems to be a decent atmosphere at night. I think on a Saturday,
Mhm.
when everybody's been out since Friday after work, haven't bothered going home, they go straight to Millwall afterwards. Yeah, well, after the night out, I think it's a lot more hostile. I, I love football under floodlights. I think it's superb.
Mm,
It's one of the unique things about English football, isn't it?
yeah.
That you have midweek league games, and there is this magical thing where you're walking up to a ground and you see the floodlights on and things like that. But I don't think it'll be as hostile as you think it will be. Yeah, but I hope your players aren't listening to this, and McDonald's boy plays it to them and acts as a little bit of motivation for them.
You never know. You never know. We've had Steve Cook on, so he might see it and then pass it on. So
Steve
pass it
Cook
on
is
to
a
Scott.
player that's got previous with us.
Mm,
Actually, I think a few years ago, did he score in front of us and
he
half the
did, yes.
and I think half the contents of the away end ended up on the side of the pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I tend to remember that was a game down at your place. I think we
Mhm.
lost, but mate, it'll be a good game. You're obviously a good footballing team, and we sometimes need that to draw a good performance out of ourselves. Just don't sit back and just allow us to be defensive.
I'm gonna go. Do you know what? I'm gonna match what you've said, but I think we're gonna win 1-0. I think it's gonna be tough. but I think Dominic Solanke will get the goal. In fact, I think Steve Cook might even play because, of course, we have got Lloyd Kelly out. So I think with Kelly out, I actually think that Cahill will be alongside Steve Cook. So it could be first game back, and you never know, he might do it again.
Mate, see, but that's aspiration, isn't it? That you've got,
Yeah.
you've got Gary Cahill, who played for the Nigels down the road. That well-known team from Surrey that think they're from London. Yeah, that weird club that have the rivalry with a team that's 45 minutes down the road, and they call it a local derby. But you must be paying in bundles. Must be paying him absolutely bundles. He's a guy who's come straight out the Premier League. And yeah, but that's the difference in the two teams summed up, is that you've got Gary Cahill and we've got a lad on loan from Arsenal.
Yeah. Well, the thing is Millwall are always a well-run club. You know, you've done fantastic. To get and be pushing towards the playoff places. And with Benicophobia up front, I wouldn't put it past him to cause a handful. I actually wouldn't be surprised if he scores.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, we'd settle for that, I think. That's if he plays. You never know with Rabbit. But I think him and Matt Smith all play at various stages, and they'll cause you a few problems. Tom Bradshaw, Welsh international, has played a few games recently, has scored a couple of goals, and has actually looked dangerous. So we have got attacking players, we just don't use them right. But I absolutely agree with you. I actually think we'll win 1-0. You think you'll win 1-0. I don't think there'll be 4 or 5 goals in the game.
Guaranteed. Now we've said that we'll probably draw 3-0.
Oh, mate,
you're the draw specialist.
Nailed on. It's absolutely nailed on, isn't it? A 3-3 draw.
Yeah.
Then everybody will be going, what do those two idiots know about anything? But no, I personally think it will be a very tight game.
I don't think I've got a score right so far this season, so I should start saying, you'll win 1-0, and
reverse psychology, it always works, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does. But
nailed on to work.
Yeah, I bet now I've said 3-0. It's probably that.
Yeah, but do you want to change your mind?
No. We need the points. So yeah, but yeah, fingers crossed. And yeah, it's the last place we really wanted to go to come back after a defeat. Personally, at home to Swansea, I could take that, but another away game, and this time at the Den, you want to be going to the Den off a good run.
Well, then we enjoyed bringing runs to an end.
Yeah, you probably would do.
Yeah, it's one of those things. You've got to come there at some point. I think we've got to go to you at some point towards the end of the season, haven't we?
Yep.
So, you have a nice day out on the south coast. Mm-hmm. You can't be beaten, really, can it?
No, exactly.
But you've got to play each other twice at some point. So you might as well come and try your luck now. I think we've only had 1 defeat in 5. There you go.
Yeah.
2 draws, 2 wins, 1 defeat. We've even worse now.
Well, we've had 2 defeats in that space of time as well. So we're not, we're okay. Yeah, we're still, doing really, really well. But we certainly need to up our game after.
But do you find International Week buggers things up?
It does, yeah. It does, because we beat Swansea 4-0. absolutely run over Swansea. And then the international break where we sit down, watch England play San Marino, which was
Yeah,
very
it's like
dull and
watching Gary
boring.
Rowe at football, I tell you, that is.
Yeah, you might as well, get turn round and get Liverpool and say, right, Liverpool, you're playing, dog and duck athletic from up the road,
Yeah, I hate international breaks because they always seem to come
Yeah.
at the wrong time. Yeah, and it breaks up the momentum.
Mhm.
And I think we did all right at the weekend, and but yeah, I'm not a fan of international football. I wish they'd just bloody cancel it and play it all in the summer. Just
Yeah, I agree.
play one bloody block of games at the end of the season and be done with it. Instead of every other month for the first 3 months, or every month for the first 3 months of the season, you get no momentum. And then I think in your case, you beat Swansea 4-0, and then but then you go down and you play Wayne Rooney's Derby County, as they've been renamed by everybody, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get back to winning ways. But it's been a pleasure again, as always, to speak to you, Neil. And yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, you can get yourself in those playoffs and come join us in the promotion party if we keep up, with our decent form.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, well, you're going to go up. I think it's between you and Fulham for the title. I think that you two will be slugging it out toe for toe for most of the rest of the season.
Well, Scott Parker, of course, used to manage Fulham, so hopefully he can get one over on them. And yeah.
Yeah, no, you never know with McDonald's boy, do you?
Well, no, hopefully, fingers crossed. So, yeah, but no, it's been an absolute pleasure as always, Neil, and all the very best for the rest of the season.
Thanks a lot, Craig.
After tomorrow night.
Definitely, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the same for you as well.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. And thank you, everybody, for joining me on this opposition preview show. Please do remember to hit the like, the subscribe, and the bell button below to be alerted to any new videos we do. Please also do check out our special interview with Neil's favourite player for Bournemouth, Steve Cook. Also, we do have Steve Fletcher, who has also done a video for us, Efana Kuku, Harry Redknapp, Luther Blizzett, Andy Burnell, Beth Powney, and also the guys from Fair Game. And please do check out their details as well. I also want to mention at the end of this video, with regards to Kizza, who has unfortunately contracted malaria. So our best wishes do go out to him and the whole of the Bournemouth Academy in Uganda. And hopefully he'll make a very speedy recovery and be back on the sidelines very soon. Until the next video, up the cherries, and I'll see you then.